Hi everybody, Jake here for FMSCOUT and welcome to today's video where I'm going to be showing you guys some teams that you can try and rebuild in FM22. These are clubs that used to be at a certain level, aren't anymore, and you can try and take them back to their former glory, some of which are going to be probably pretty easy, 2-3 season jobs, and some of which might take you 10 years inside a Football Manager to try and replicate the success that these great clubs once had. Now, I'm not going to talk about these two examples in the video, so just as an example, Arsenal could be one. They've had plenty of success in the past, maybe in recent years. I'm a Chelsea fan. I think most Arsenal fans would agree as well. They're not really living up to the heights that they used to play at, and the same goes for AC Milan, for example. I think they're doing a bit better in recent years, but overall they're not reaching the same heights that they might have done in the early 2000s, that kind of thing. So they're the kind of teams we're going to be looking at. We've got 8 teams in today's list, all different levels of challenges, so hopefully you guys will enjoy it. Obviously do bear in mind the fact that we are in FM21 still, FM22 isn't out, so things such as league positioning, facilities, finances, all of that stuff is subject to change, but overall most of it will be exactly the same when you take over in FM22. So with that being said, guys, hopefully you enjoyed the video. Don't forget to like it if you do, comment down below any teams that you're planning to rebuild in FM22, and don't forget to subscribe to the channel if you haven't already. We've just hit 120,000 subscribers, which is awesome, but if we can push for more, then that would be great. So let's get straight into it. Okay, so the first place we're heading off to is Sweden. Now, this might be outside of most people's comfort zone in a Football Manager save. I know a lot of people will stick to the top 5 leagues in the world, maybe branch out into the Portuguese or the Dutch divisions. But I think IFK Gothenburg represent a really good team to manage. I've tried to look how you pronounce that. I hope I've done a good job. I probably haven't. I never usually do. But I think they'd be a really fun team to try and rebuild. They're not in a super bad way, but if you compare them to how they used to be in previous years, yes, they've got room to improve. They used to be the top dog in Sweden. If we go and look at their history, they're actually one of the only Nordic clubs to ever win a European competition. They've won 2 Europa Leagues, or at least what it used to be called back in the day, so they do have European pedigree under their belt. It's just in recent years things haven't gone so well. Obviously we're not seeing them in European competitions so often, and not only that, they've stopped dominating the league. It's now Malmo who pretty much run it year in, year out. I mean, if we go to the Swedish Premier Division, you can see that Malmo are pretty much always up there, whether they're runners-up or first place. Gothenburg occasionally come in second, but if we go all the way into the past, they have won a league in 2007, but if we go a bit further down, you'll see they were the only team really dominating back in the 90s, and realistically, they're a team that you could rebuild up to their former glory, maybe with some Swedish homegrown players, who knows. In terms of facilities, this club has got pretty much good or great all around, which is perfectly fine for a club at this level. I don't think anyone's going to complain about that. So if you were the manager of this club, you'd be looking to not only become the top dogs in Sweden consistently again, but maybe branch out into the Champions League, the Europa League, try and bring another European trophy home to Sweden. Okay, so the second team in this list we're looking at is Newcastle. There are plenty of clubs in the English divisions who used to be at a certain level and now they're not, but Newcastle are a very good example of one of those kind of clubs. One of the reasons I have picked them, by the way, is the fact that that is who my FM22 beta save or first save is going to be with on my own channel, which will be linked in the description. So if you're interested in seeing me trying to rebuild Newcastle over the space of a few seasons, potentially dealing with a pretty rubbish owner, which if you guys were to take over, that's the kind of thing you might be dealing with, someone who maybe isn't given the funds that a club like Newcastle deserves into the team. But yeah, if you want to see me manage them, that will be linked in the description. It will mean a lot if you subscribe ahead of FM22 so you don't miss it when it does come out. Any support is greatly appreciated, but despite the fact that I'm going to manage them, I think they're a very fun team to potentially manage in FM22. They're, you know, such a historic club. They've got plenty of history. If we go to their competitions, we can see they're 4 times English Premier Division winners, although the last time was in 1927, 2 runners-up finishes in 1996 and 1997, and then plenty of cups to go along with that, but not much success in recent years. They did only recently get promoted out of the Championship back in 2017, so they haven't been in the Premier League for a super long time. Maybe in game you'll get a takeover, but either way I think you're going to have to be shrewd with your transfers at first, pick the right kind of players to improve the team and hopefully take Newcastle back to their former glory. Okay, so the third team on this list is one that I knew you guys would all be waiting for. I won't stick on them for too long because I think everybody knows Barcelona need a job doing. They've got such huge debt. Of course, here it says FM21, captain and key player Lionel Messi. He has, of course, now left the club. He's gone to Paris Saint-Germain. Barcelona look like they're in a pretty torrid state, and there's going to be work to be done. Whether the debt is clearly represented in FM22 is another question. There's a chance it will be Football Manager style where someone just takes over pretty much straight away and fixes all your debt. Hopefully not though, because I think it would be a fun save and actually makes Barcelona a fun save to actually try and do, where you have to rely on the fact that they've got a good academy, a good youth setup, and bring them players into the team, as opposed to bringing in your big money signings. I think that's going to be the way about it. I think it will represent a great challenge. Of course, I don't need to talk about it, but when I was growing up, Pep Guardiola's team were winning Champions League titles. It looked like they were going to be unbeatable, and you would never have guessed that in 10 years' time they'd be in such a torrid state, but they are. They're one of the most reputable clubs in the world, but whether you can deal with that pressure whilst also not really having the funds to bring in the players that you might need to win the league, win the Champions League, I don't know. I think it'd be a fun save. I think most people would agree with that. I'm not going to stick on for too long. So that is Barcelona. Now let's move on to team number 4. Okay, so for team number 4, we're heading over to Italy and with Fiorentina. Now, Serie A is a league where there are plenty of teams that can win the title, but mainly there's a lot of competition for them Champions League spots. We know that Juve won it year on year until Inter Milan broke that up recently, but the likes of Inter Milan, AC Milan, Juventus, of course, Napoli, Roma, Atalanta in recent years too getting up there. There's plenty of teams that can compete in that top 6 kind of position. However, Fiorentina, despite a pretty strong history, if we go to look at what they've won, they've actually won 2 Serie A titles. They were the runners-up in the Champions League. They've won plenty of other trophies outside of that. But it's been a good few years now. I think it was 2015 since the last time they made the top 5. It's been a good few years since they were mixing at the top with the big boys, despite the fact that they're a very reputable club. They've got really good facilities. They've even got a pretty strong squad. And if you can hold on to him, I think the striker, where is he? I don't know if he's going to be super represented well in FM21, but if we go down, I'm sure we'll find it. Where is he? Here we go, Dusan Vlahovic, I don't know how you pronounce it, but he has done really well for them in recent years, and I imagine he's going to get a bit of an upgrade in FM22. He is a wonder kid, of course. Wonder kid striker, playing for Fiorentina. Maybe with him at the top of your team, build around him, maybe you can take him back to the top, get him involved in that Champions League conversation, maybe eventually win the league and even go as far as winning a Champions League. So that's Fiorentina. Now let's move on to team number 5. Okay, so the 5th team we're looking at is from Hungary. There will be a team later on outside of Europe, so don't worry, it's not just European teams. But Ferencváros, now apologies if I've pronounced that wrong, but Ferencváros have been like the top dogs in Hungary for a long time. And in recent years, they've been appearing in European competitions, so everything's great, right? Well, yes, but you can definitely improve on that and try and make Hungary one of the better footballing nations in the world and take this club back to the top of Champions League football. If we look at their history, they've been runners-up in 2 European competitions, but have actually won a Europa League back in 1965, and it was around that time that Ferencváros actually had some of the best players in the world playing for them. If you were to pick 10 of the best world footballers at that time, there's a good chance a couple of them at least were playing for Ferencváros. They were a top club, and even though, like I say, they're still pretty highly regarded in Hungary, they've got a bit of work to be done if they do want to win a Champions League. Now, you've got pretty decent facilities to work with. There's nothing you're going to complain about too much there. And I think you're going to be building Hungary up as a footballing nation on your way to winning a Champions League, hopefully with Ferencváros, if you can do it. I think it's a good challenge. Be a bit of fun, something a bit outside most of your comfort zones, I'm sure. Hopefully, if you can qualify for the Champions League every year, that money is going to be crucial in building your team. And who knows, maybe you can do the same. In a few years, you might have some of the world's best players playing in a Hungarian team. Okay, so now we're heading over to France, to Ligue 1 and with AS Saint-Etienne. Now, I think most people would forgive you if you thought that PSG were the French team that had won the most league titles. Now, they're nearly there, but Saint-Etienne are still holding on to that title with 10 league titles across their history in France. Now, over the last few years, things haven't gone so well. They've been not just a mid-club table, but sometimes even flirting with relegation. There's work to be done there, particularly with the fact that, at least in Football Manager, PSG are going to be the top dogs yet again. With the team that they now have, they're going to be pretty much unbeatable in the league. That's why it's going to be your job to try and rebuild Saint-Etienne, not only get them back up in the Champions League conversation in France, in a league that's been growing over the last few years, I would say, but then you've got to go and take that top place off PSG, try and retain the title of having the most French league titles. PSG are on 9, I think, currently. Saint-Etienne are on 10, so a little bit of work to be done there. They are also runners-up in the Champions League back in the day. Much like PSG, neither of them have won a Champions League yet. Maybe you can even beat them to a Champions League if you work quick enough in this save. I think they'd be a great fun challenge to do. Not only would you be trying to topple PSG, eventually you can then try and win a Champions League with Saint-Etienne, who actually have some really good facilities. If most of this stays the same, they've got excellent training facilities, good youth facilities to work with too there, so I think they'd be a great club to manage. Got a huge fan base still too. So that is Saint-Etienne. Now let's move on to the last 2 clubs in our list. Okay, so for the penultimate club in today's list, we're going to Club Athletico Independiente out in Argentina. Now, this is a club who have a steep history. Like, they've won so many competitions. If you look, Argentinian Premier Divisions, 14 of them, last one being in 1989. They've won 7 Copa Libertadores, which is the equivalent of Champions League out in South America. They've won 7 of them, last one being in 1984. They've won a few Intercontinental Cups, but as you can see, you're probably getting the theme of the fact that they haven't actually won much in their recent years. They have won the Europa League equivalent out in South America with the Copa Sudamerica, but it will be your job to rebuild the club and take them back to the top, not only of the Argentinian division, but then hopefully win the Copa Libertadores again, maybe a few times if you want to. They're going to have some great facilities. If you've played a Football Manager save, you'll know there's plenty of wonder kids that end up popping up through the youth academies out in Argentina, and Independiente are one of the clubs that seem to produce wonder kid after wonder kid. So I think they'll be a fun team to try and rebuild, take back to that former level that they were once at. They really haven't been doing as well as they should have done in recent years, so if you can take over and fix that, you'll be doing a great job. So now let's move on to the final club in today's list. Okay, so arguably the hardest challenge in today's list has been left for last. If you do enjoy this video, if you have enjoyed watching it, feel free to drop a like button, comment down below if you think you're going to manage any of these clubs that we've mentioned, or let us know who else you're looking to rebuild. But we are going with FC Magdeburg as the third team in today's list. I mentioned them in a few lists for the FM21 teams to manage videos. They're here again in the FM22 teams to manage videos. This club are the only East German team to ever win a European competition going back to when Germany was divided. However, in recent years things haven't gone so well. Like, as you can see here, 1974 European Cup Winners' Cup champions. Now they're in the 3rd division out in Germany. Reputation is a bit low. Facilities aren't looking too great. Finances likely the same. Despite that, you still have a massive fan base, 28,000 capacity stadium. It's a club that people want to see back near the top. They've been stuck in the 3rd division for a few years now. I think they've been promoted and relegated again, so they're kind of just stuck in middling ground now. You need to take over, take them up the division and get into the Bundesliga. Eventually topple Bayern and Borussia Dortmund right at the very top, and then who knows, maybe even take this team to another Champions League European title. If you can do that, you'll be doing a great job out at Magdeburg. But I think they would make such a fun save. There's actually plenty of teams in the lower divisions in Germany that used to be at a similar level, much like in the English divisions. There's plenty of teams you could pick from, but Magdeburg, the only East German side to ever win a European trophy, I think you've got to give it a go if you're looking for a long-term save where you have to start in a low division. I think it'll be great fun. So with that being said, guys, thank you for watching today's video. Hopefully you have enjoyed it. Let me know which of these teams you like. Don't forget to subscribe and feel free to check out my channel, linked in the description. I've been Jake for FM Scout, and I'll see you next time. Goodbye.